Preventing environmental health emergencies. Emergency prevention is based on vulnerability assessment and concerns the technical and organizational means of reducing the probability or consequences of disasters and the community's vulnerability. To some extent, disasters and emergencies are preventable. Proper planning and actions to reduce the probability of disasters from happening and decrease their likely impact can save lives and reduce disease. Preventive actions can also be very cost-effective compared to the cost in the case of a disaster. Disasters can be prevented by: first, raising awareness; second, learning from other disasters and emergencies; third, proper and sustainable management of land and infrastructure; fourth, putting in place early warning systems; and the last, which is fifth, developing national policies and recommendations. So for instance, constructing earthquake-resistant buildings, water supplies, and sanitation systems in earthquake-prone regions such as Japan greatly reduces the consequences of future quakes. That's all. Thank you.
Knowing disaster management is crucial in life to reduce the vulnerability and exposure to our test that could sometimes lead to avoid harm and ensure safety underlying the risk factors is crucial to mitigate. Their effects and practice mitigation process as necessary. How to mitigate the effects of a disaster. Reduction in the level of vulnerability and exposure is possible by keeping people and property as distant as possible from us. We cannot prevent disaster, so we would focus on addressing the vulnerability and exposure of a risk by identifying the factors which underlie disaster to reduce the impact of a disaster on communities. We need to be aware, knowledgeable, reducing loss of life and damage from disaster is widespread. Public awareness: people must be aware of what hazards they are likely to face, about proper management before, during, and after a disaster. Being prepared is necessary to mitigate the effects of a disaster, to reduce fear, anxiety, injuries, and can be reduced if anyone will be take responsibility and anticipating its effects. So here are some on how to plan ahead of a disaster. First, we have check for hazards at home. Second is identify safe place indoors and outdoors. Third, educate yourself and family members. Fourth is have disaster kits or supplies on hand. Fifth is develop an emergency communication plan. Sixth, help your community get ready. And lastly, practice the disaster preparedness cycle. So, in conclusion, public awareness, education, and preparedness are the three things that people must have action to reduce the impact of a disaster that could sometimes avoid danger. So, bye, that's all.
Good day everyone. So emergency preparedness tips. So no one can prevent natural disaster, but you can prepare for them. Being ready for a catastrophe before it happens may help you to protect yourself, your family, and your friends. So different types of emergency situation call for additional steps in order to be prepared. Finding the best emergency preparedness plans for any kind of natural disaster can help you prepare for a safe outcome. As you get started with this process, follow these emergency preparedness tips to keep yourself safe. So 1. Pack an emergency preparedness kit. So having an emergency preparedness kit on your hand may help you to keep your family safe during a disaster. Store supplies in a large waterproof container near a door in your garage so you can grab it and find a shelter quickly. Ready.gov recommends you to have at least 3 days worth of food, water, and medications on hand. They also provide at least of items included in your disaster kit. One is drinking water at least 1 gallon per person a day, non-perishable foods such as canned veggies and protein bars, manual can opener, flashlights or portable lanterns and extra battery, first aid kit, crack or battery-powered radio, sanitation supplies such as toilet paper, moist towelties, soap, trash bags, and disinfectants, and local maps. So depending on your situation, your kit may be also include baby food, bottles and diapers, pet food, prescription medication, extra eyeglasses or contact lens in solution, dry clothes and blankets, and during preparedness, create and practice a disaster plan. Your family needs a clearly outlined plan to follow that helps keep everyone safe during a natural disaster or evacuation. According to the Ready.gov, the 4 primary factors that you plan should account for include where to shelter, a route for evacuation, getting emergency alertness and warnings, and family communication. So as you are creating your disaster plan, keep the following preparation elements in mind. So we have sign up for severe weather alerts in your area, program emergency number into your phone, decide on a meeting place for your family to gather, plan escape routes from your home and neighborhood. Remember, roads could be blocked in large-scale disaster. Have at least one alternative route or more if possible. Be sure all adult and teenage family members know how to shut off gas, electric, and water lines if there is a leak or electrical short. Keep the necessary tools easily accessible and make sure everyone knows where they are. And consider learning CPR and first aid training. Remember your pets, bring dogs and cats inside during a catastrophe, or make plan for you evacuate with them, and make sure they have ID tags. And listen to local official. Governments have systems in place to help area residents learn about impending or occurring disaster. The timely information these entities provide can help you understand what threats and presence and know what is necessary to evacuate. Sign up for alerts from local and national organizations to get your information you need. This may include text messages and urgent situation. You'll also see and hear written and spoken messages via cable TV or phone calls. In addition, you can tune into NOAA weather radio, which broadcasts weather hazard information and safety alerts 24/7. Remember that this group that provide these messages are expert. Respect their warnings and follow their guidelines as closely as possible for your own safety. So manage the details. Take note of your insurance policy numbers and keep this information in a safe place that easy to access. You want the number for your vehicle, home, and any other relevant policies you may purchase relating to things that might be damaged during a disaster. It's also a wise idea to have an insurance company claims department phone number on hand in case you need to start the process right away. As you're starting to prepare, download your insurance company app if it has one. These programs also convenient to let you do things like pay bills and touch up a button. However, you can also initiate a claim and check on a status via app. This is a convenient way to take action and move forward in a wake disaster. While storing your insurance information in your phone and computer, it is good to start. Your electric batteries may run down during a catastrophe event. Keep your hard copies and information in your wallet, in your gloves box, and even in your office to relative home in case you're unable to retrieve them from your own house but need to make a call. So learn more. So create a plan with your family, figuring on what to do in an event of a disaster. Make sure everyone knows their rule and have the plan. Then have drills practicing so you have comfortable what with who does what and the best lead plans can help keep you and your family safe, and that is the right homeowners insurance policy that can keep your residents protect after disaster.
The primary aims of disaster response are rescue from immediate danger and the stabilization of the physical and emotional condition of survivors. These go hand in hand with the recovery of dead and restoration of essential services such as water and power. Emergencies can happen anywhere and at all time. The very nature of an emergency is unpredictable and change in scope and impact. Being prepared and planning ahead is critical to protecting lives, environment, and properties. Your emergency response program should look at both the big picture and the small details to determine the risk and hazards potential to your operations. A plan should be developed using available resources, trained personnel, and industry best practices, keeping in mind the safety of people, the environment, property, and the business continuity. Experts in writing emergency response plans, such as Black Gold Emergency Planner, can be consulted to help develop and program for any industry.
Disaster response. The primary aims of disaster response are rescue from immediate danger and stabilization of the physical and emotional condition of survivors. Mayor. The mayor is responsible at the administrative level for ensuring that response efforts run smoothly. Fire service. The fire service is the linchpin of the disaster. Regional accident and disaster medical teams. Anyone injured in disaster will require medical assistance as soon as possible. Police service. The police will ensure that the fire and ambulance service can do their job. Armed forces. The Ministry of Defense can deploy military personnel to respond to a disaster. Municipal services. The municipality is responsible for the residents' immediate welfare. Water authorities. In the event of flooding caused by burst dikes or heavy rainfall, Coast Guard. In the event of disaster of the Dutch coast, Red Cross. To treat the injured, rescue the dog organizations to look for victims trapped beneath rubble. Salvation Army to provide both victims and emergency workers with sandwiches and soup.
Hello everyone, this is me Lara from Bachelor of Physical Education Block D. So those who is watching this, you will see my video presentation is showing you on how the Philippines suffer from the COVID-19 cases from 2019 until now 2022, but you will see the differences from 2019 and now 2022 that the Philippines are slightly recovered or ongoing on recovery of the pandemic. And then you will see that not only the cases are slightly on recovery, but also those people who lost their families from the past year and slightly recovered from now. So that's all.
Immigration na ipatupad ang direktiba ng Interagency Task Force na pagbubukas sa mga border ng bansa para sa mga banyagang turista simula sa Pebrero a 10.
Sa detalles, limited face-to-face classes pigpapautog na sa Bukaf sa Ginubatan Campus sa Ginubatan, Albay. May istorya si Lane Maniago.
Totoo po ang balita! Wala na po quarantine sa Pilipinas! Ayon po ito sa IRTS Resolution number 159. starting February 1, wala na pong quarantine sa Pilipinas basta meron kang negative RT-PCR test at fully vaccinated ka. Tinanggal na po nila ang red list, yellow list, and green list classifications ng mga countries and territories. Kaya kahit nasaan ka mang lupalop ng mundo ngayon,